welcome Ella Powell, who wrote one of my favourite songs of last year, wrote and performed one of my favourite songs of last year, Paper Towel. Lovely to meet you on Zoom.
Yes, it's great to actually be able to meet you sort of in person. Yeah, thank you for having me as well. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
I'm excited to be talking to you as well because, as I said, Paper Towel is a great song, but you have released several great songs. In fact, 4 singles so far with a 5th on the way. And Ella, you are only 17 years of age. So what I'd really love to know is, when did your musical life start? How old were you? Did you sing first? Did you play an instrument first? What happened?
Yeah, so I think I was just always singing around the house as like a toddler, and literally all the time, probably before I could speak, I was singing like constantly. And then I picked up a guitar when I was about 6 years old, and it like I did it for a little bit, but I think, you know, when you're that small, you get a little bit more frustrated because your fingers can't like fit around the fretboards easy and all that. So I sort of stopped for a little bit, and then I started singing when like properly when I was about 8. And then when I was 10, I picked up the guitar again. And a music teacher from my dad's school was like, "Oh, I'll give you, you know, a couple lessons." So I'd go to his school after I finished school, and we'd just play like a couple songs, and he taught me some, you know, little chords and stuff. And really, I've just never looked back. And then I guess I started learning, you know, the guitar and practicing singing more, and when I was about, you know, 10. And from there, I sort of got into like songwriting and poetry and all that kind of stuff. And it's really just developed into now. Like, I've not really looked back since I was like 10 years old, really.
Well, I'd say you can't have looked back, because otherwise you wouldn't be at the stage you're at now. But do you think so? Obviously, when you were 10, it's the instrument wasn't frustrating anymore, or maybe you could see that there was a way to get to a point where you really enjoyed it.
Yes. Oh, 100%. And I think, yeah, as soon as I picked it up, I don't know, it was just this feeling, and it was like excitement. And I think I was just really like, this is what I want to do. And yeah, that was it really. I was just so focused on it.
So, were you practicing every day? Did your fingers bleed? Because people often talk about
Oh,
practicing.
oh yes. Oh yes, you had like the calluses and all that fun stuff. But literally every single day, really, since I was, yeah, 10, I've just been, yeah, practicing, and I'd practice every single day and really like, you know, hone the skills and everything. And I guess it's just, yeah, it's led me to where sort of I am now. And it's, yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Well, look, and as far as parents are concerned, it's better than recorder, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I think everyone went through like back in primary school doing that.
Yeah.
I think I did do pick up the recorder a couple times, but yeah,
Yeah.
not anymore.
Guitar has a lot more to offer, and on someone who's listening in from another room, I think. So when you were, I'll say, like a younger child, so under 10, before you picked up the guitar again, which artists or which musical artists were you listening to? Because some people, not it wouldn't necessarily be children's musicians. You might have Taylor Swift in your repertoire. So I'm wondering what music you loved when you were quite little.
Yeah, I think my dad loved Eva Cassidy. So like I always grew up with like her voice and all that kind of stuff. So I really liked listening to her. I've always like loved Ed Sheeran and his songs, like Taylor Swift. So they were probably my main like people that I would listen to when I was really, really young. And I guess that's sort of like carried on till now, but I have a much sort of, I guess, broader like I listen to much more music now, I guess, than when I
So
was younger.
what are you listening to at the moment?
Yeah, so I absolutely love she's an American country pop artist. Her name's Kelsey Ballerini.
Mhm.
I love Jewel. I love Taylor Swift. And I think a lot of like amazing Australian artists as well. I absolutely love, you know, the Aussie music that we have here. And I really look up to so many incredible artists here as well. So yeah.
And when you started writing songs, I mean, Taylor Swift is a wonderful artist, and particularly a wonderful songwriter. So I imagine there might have been some Taylor Swift influences on your songwriting. But were there any other artists in particular whose songs you listen to? You know, you can listen to songs and think, "Oh, I love listening to them." But when you're wanting to craft a song, I imagine you're listening in a different way. So were there other artists who you listen to for songwriting tips?
Yeah, I think I did grow up listening to like a lot of Coldplay as well, especially in like my younger teenage years. And like I think with like a lot of those artists, the way they you know, write is it's got like the personal and also like those fictional elements to it as
Mhm.
well. And I think that's a lot of what I've drawn into my writing now. You know, I'm taking experiences from, you know, myself and other people, but also I can bring in, you know, that sort of fictional element, or like the way Taylor Swift has those little personal, you know, touches that she puts in. I love that. And I think that's more of what I've been doing with my songs, especially with like my latest couple singles as well.
Mm-hmm. I was heading in a direction with those questions, and that was towards your really great ability with melody. Because I was thinking, it's come from somewhere, because it's so hard to do well, and it is a craft. But you clearly have that craft honed. So I was thinking, yeah, who should be listening to? Like, just not to suggest you're mimicking anyone, because you're not. It's more just that shaping of your awareness
Mm.
of melody and how it functions in a song.
Yeah, no, I think melodies are actually my favorite thing. Like I can, like, you know, I'll pick up the guitar and I'll just be, you know, playing a couple things, and melodies come like very, very easily. And I actually, it's one of my favorite parts of songwriting, I think. Like I love constructing lyrics as well, but melodies, yeah, I love that side of it.
So a lot of songwriters seem to use the notes function on their smartphones. If an idea comes to them, they'll sing it into the phone, and then work it up later. Do you tend to do that?
I do, like sometimes if something just comes straight into my head. But I'm like, I just love writing everything down. Like on a piece of paper. Like I'm, yeah, a little bit more old fashioned most of the time, but I just have like, oh, hundreds of notebooks. Like in my room, I've got like a big like shelf, and it's just full of notebooks and notebooks that I've written like over the years. And I've, yeah, got so many just books lying around everywhere. So that's sort of my main go-to, is getting out my pen and paper, really, because I feel like for me, that's how I'm more creative, for me
Mm-hmm.
personally.
I think quite a few people work best that way. It's just we tend to think, oh, we have all these modern tools and we should use
Mm.
them. But I'm sure there's a relationship between handwriting and memory, for example, so that if you write down your idea, you're probably more likely to remember it later on and come back to it. And if you don't remember it, then it's not an idea worth pursuing.
Definitely. Sometimes something might just come into your head and then so quickly it's gone. So voice memos are definitely the best thing for that. Like especially with melodies, just quickly, you know, picking it up and really quickly singing into that before it sort of goes. Because sometimes that just happens. Like it just comes so quickly and then it's sort of gone. It's like, oh my gosh, where did that go? But yeah, no, it's fun. It's exciting process.
So people who like writing in notebooks often have a favorite brand of notebook. So are you like a brand loyalist for notebooks, or is it just whatever looks good in the shop when you need a new notebook?
Yeah, I'm sort of drawn to like whatever looks good really at that time. I'm trying, like I go for some different things all the time. Like I've never really kept with like the same one. And it also so knowing, oh, okay, that was from like last year, or this one's what I'm using now, sort of thing. So it's like easier to like have in your head what is like from when it's from. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've talked about your songwriting and your guitar playing, but singing, of course, is a different function. So for your development as a singer, have you taken voice lessons, school choir? Have there been those sorts of things going on?
Yeah, so before I like really got into songwriting, I was mainly just singing, and I had a singing teacher, and I, yeah, just like every day really practicing like I still do now, and really, yeah, I just started doing that, and I think, yeah, I did do the school choir. I did like the choral festival and all those different like choirs when I was like a lot younger, and then from there, really, I just, yeah, just started like singing every single day. And I think that's like the main way you sort of, you know, build up your voice, really, as any performer would probably do.
So you're very diligent at practice, which is something that actually some people aren't, even when they really want to do something. So I'm guessing
Yeah.
you've always been good at homework too, at getting your homework done.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. I definitely wasn't as excited to do that, but yeah. I'm very glad school's over now. I'm very glad.
Look, I think it's a unanimous, just a unanimous belief. I'm glad school's over too, and it's been years since I've been there. But look, it is regular practice is is a great thing to do. I was actually talking to a school child the other day who's learning guitar for the first time, and I just said, look, practice is difficult. You may not want to do it, but it'll accumulate, and you know, over time you'll find out you can play more and more, and it becomes more useful to you. But it can be frustrating, and it can be difficult. Is it just part of your nature, do you think, to want to do it?
Yeah, I just love it. Like, I couldn't imagine doing absolutely anything else with my life. Like, I just love it that much that really it's always just sort of on my mind. Like, every day it's like, oh, or I'll go to bed and I'll be thinking of song lyrics, and I'll wake up and be like, oh, maybe I've had a dream or something like that, that it sometimes inspires lyrics. And yeah, and especially now that the HSC is over, I'm able to, you know, really focus full time on my music career as well, which is very exciting. It opens a lot more sort of avenues. So that's been really good.
Yeah. So clearly you also started performing at quite a young age, because by 2019 you'd won the People's Choice Award at the Tamworth Country Music Festival, which, for those who don't know, is an award for people's favorite busker. So you're obviously really adept at performing live by then. So when was your first show, your first performance?
So I think I was about 8 years old, and I used to do a bit of musical theatre, and I think the very first performance I did was at the local Blue Tongue Stadium, and it was a Christmas Carol performance, and there was quite a couple thousand people, and 8-year-old me got up on stage and sung for the first time. And I think from there it was sort of like, okay, well, you know, you did that as your first one, so like, you know, and the smaller things, like you know, you'll be good at, I guess. But so I guess that gave me the confidence to, and like a foundation to sort of build off. And then from there, really, I was gigging and I was playing sort of around everywhere. And I think that just to really build up, I guess, the stage presence and like the confidence to be able to, I guess, perform like that. But yeah, Tamworth, it will forever be one of my favorite performances. It was absolutely incredible. Like the vibe and getting an award like that, it was just, I was very honored. It was amazing.
From what I understand, that award comes about because people see you busking and, you know, purposely have to put your name on a piece of paper and drop it in at the council chambers or whatever it is. So it's not just some random hidden number, oh yeah, she'll do thing. It's actually, you have to impress people, and there are a lot of people walking past. So it must be really gratifying, but also you must have become really good at getting people's attention. I've got to say, on Peel Street.
Yeah, no, honestly, like there was so many incredible acts, and yeah, it was very, you know, I was so honored because, you know, so many people could have been chosen, and out of, as you said, I think about that year there was about over 400. Like there was so many buskers there, and then making it to, you know, the top 10, and performing on like the big stage in front of the audience. Yeah, it was so incredible. It was amazing.
Do you feel competitive at all when you see other buskers? I'm always interested because there are, as you said, over 400. I'm wondering if when you're a busker, you wander around and think, I can do better than that.
I think like back then, because obviously it was my first one, and I think it was really just more, this is awesome. Like everyone was so like, you know, kind to each other, and there was such a cool vibe. And you know, it was like sharing spots, and it was great. Like I think it was sort of the opposite to that, actually.
Yeah, right. Did you play some originals as well as covers? Because I know covers have to be part of the set list when you're busking at Tamworth.
Yeah. So it was quite a long time ago now. So I did do quite a couple originals, but obviously I didn't have sort of as many then as what I do now, and I hadn't released any. It was the following, it was the following year that I started them releasing singles. But yeah, I did do quite a few.
So speaking of singles, as I mentioned at the top, Paper Town came out last year, and I've noticed in your writing that you seem to have like a central idea that acts as a through line in the song. So I'm wondering if and you mentioned the notebooks, and I'm wondering, when you're making those notes, are they kind of concise ideas that a story comes out of, or do you have an actual storyline that will come to you before you start writing a song?
Yeah, so I think for me, I love getting like the hook of a song, or like, you know, for Paper Town, I had that come into my head, and I had a couple lines in the chorus, and I got a big sort of like, I think it was like an A3 piece of paper, and I wrote Paper Town in the middle and did like a big mind map. And I think from there I really wrote just everything that came into my head about, you know, a paper town. And from there, I think I love having like that central idea, like with my new single, Side Effects. When that comes out, like you can really tell that I sort of always come back to that one main idea. And I guess that's because, you know, that's how I like to start my songs, and it's always the springboard for the rest of the lyrics.
So when you were at school, did you like writing stories, like creative writing in English?
Yeah, I loved English. English was like one of my favorite subjects. I loved all the writing ones. Like, yeah, I loved all those sort of writing subjects. I wasn't very good at, like, you know, sport or like art and things like that. I wasn't a very good drawer, but yeah, English and those sorts of ones were definitely my favorite.
So Side Effects you mentioned, we're talking at the time just before its release, and so you've released four great I'm keep mentioning Paper Town because that was the latest in last year, but you also released Somebody last year. That was a lovely song. You had a couple in 2020. So you're obviously really careful about the songs you release because it's all killer, no filler, to borrow a phrase. So can you talk a bit about Side Effects? And the central idea is obviously side effects, but what's the story behind the song?
Yeah. So I think for me, for this one, I really wanted to have that personal yet also fictional element.
Mhm.
And when it comes out, like, you'll really be able to sort of hear that there's like this story. And my main idea was to really draw people into this, you know, this street and this time. And I think, you know, it definitely came from personal experiences. And I think especially around the time, you know, we're talking about so like COVID and the side effects of that, and, you know, all these different side effects of, you know, being sick and those sorts of things. Because I feel like over the last couple of years, that's probably been a really big topic for everyone. And I started thinking about that probably. It was around the time I recorded Paper Town, and I was sort of like, you know, the side effects of, you know, not just, you know, physical, but, you know, losing someone, of loving someone, whether, you know, that's a friendship or a relationship, like, you know, like those sorts of relationships always come with side effects, you know.
Mhm.
And I think that's sort of where I really wanted to go with this story, and sort of bring that into one sort of moment, yet keep it personal as well.
Mhm.
So I think that was sort of the main springboard. And then once I had that idea, I really went, okay, so like, you know, where can I go with this? And I think I definitely, lyrics come like quite quickly, but then once they're done, I like crafting them and going back over and being like, okay, like, you know, refining, because I like looking at it as if it's a draft. You
Mhm.
know, sometimes songs will come and it will be so quickly, and then others take a little bit longer to like really get to the bottom of, if that makes sense, and explore more.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a few minutes ago that you like poetry, and so I guess that discipline of poetry is in that. Not, I mean, poems can have quite different structures to songs, but it's the same principle of just trying to taper things down because you don't have as many words to convey your meaning. So I would imagine practice over time has helped you become like that.
Oh yes, 100%. Like really, I guess like centralizing that message that you want to put across. Um, but yeah, no, I love poetry. Like I've really grown up reading poetry, and even more now. Like I've always got a poetry book with me. I've always got a poetry book and a songwriting book everywhere I go, because I just find it so, it really just makes your mind think, and it can lead on to so, like, one word can lead on to so many different things depending on
So,
the mood you're feeling that day.
so who are your favorite poets to read, or maybe poet at the moment and a
Yeah,
previous favorite poet? Oh
I love Rupi Kaur.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, she is one of my absolute favorites. Kelsey Ballerini, one of my favorite singers, she just released a poetry book as well. And also some of John Lennon.
Yep.
I've got his poetry book, The Book of Longing, and I absolutely love that one. So that's sort of like my top picks.
Yeah. So as I said, your song choice is obviously very careful. And given what you've told me about how many song ideas you have, I imagine you have a few songs to choose from when you're deciding what to record. You've been working with Matt Fell as your
Yeah.
producer. So does he have a role in helping you choose which song to record and release?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I'm very lucky to be working with someone like him, and it's amazing, because I sort of I have a little home studio, so I record quite a few demos, and I'll send them off, be like, oh, what one do you reckon? And I've got some great people that I'm able to sort of bounce that sort of thing off. And yeah, it's really amazing, and I think for me it sort of clicks as well. Like, with because when I was recording Paper Town, the day we went into the studio, I was like, okay, yeah, like let's book another day. And when I got home, I had been looking at a couple of others and also Side Effects, but I think for me, I was just really drawn to it. And I was like, no, like I want to do that one. And that was the same. I'm going back into the studio next month to record another one, and I had quite a few songs to choose from. But I think you just get drawn to particular ones, and then hearing other people's feedback as well, it really helps sort of choose.
When you're writing the songs, does it feel almost like you're channeling those stories or channeling a character?
Oh yes, yeah, 100%. And I think like that's one of the most important things, because you've got to connect with it yourself for other people to connect with it as well. So I think, yeah, I get very invested in my songs and like the stories I write, and I guess some stand out more than others as well, but yeah.
And I asked that because I was thinking when you're choosing a song, maybe it's that sense of whoever you were channeling when you were writing it is basically still pulling you in, going, this is the story that needs to be told.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I completely agree. I really think it's just based on, I guess, really that gut feeling of this song I'm just really, really drawn to, or this one, maybe another one needs a little bit more work and that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, I was very just, yeah, I'm recording Side Effects next. Like, I was very sort of not really questioning it because I was so drawn to the storyline of it, I guess.
Yeah, and it's great. Gut feelings are great. A lot of people talk themselves out of their gut feelings. So I think it's also a testament to how solid you feel in all the work you've done thus far, songwriting, guitar, voice, that you have that gut feeling and think, I'm trusting it. I'm not getting in my own way.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, you find that as growing up as well. You sort of go, okay, no, you've got to trust yourself. I think that's it's definitely what you learn, sort of, especially what I've learned over the last couple of years.
So you mentioned that you'll be recording a new single soon. I imagine there will be some more recording. In the middle of that, perhaps going to Tamworth in April, you're going to take another tilt at the Crown.
Yeah, yeah, I've got heaps of gigs lined up for Tamworth. I've got some stages. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff sort of going on up there, which I'm so excited about. And then coming back and yeah, releasing more singles, leading on to an EP. So yeah, there's so much going on. It's amazing. It's great.
Fantastic. Well, people, I imagine, can look at your social media for the lists of Tamworth appearances and any other shows. Do you tend to play around the Central Coast a bit?
Yeah, I do as well. So there's quite a couple local venues I play at, and I've got some support gigs coming up as well on behalf of Great Southern Nights,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
coming up in the next couple months. Yeah, I've got quite a few live shows, and hopefully leading on to some headline shows as well. That's sort of being planned in the background for the next couple months. But I guess with COVID, sometimes it's a bit hard as we're finding with live performances to sort of be able to do those things. But it's great that everything's starting to open up again.
Well, I cannot wait to hear what your new songs are. Side Effects is wonderful. I've already had the privilege of having an early listen. And the melodic sensibilities, your wonderful voice, the hooks that I've become used to with your songs are definitely there in Side Effects. So I'm sure your fans will love it, and there'll be new fans and then new songs. So Ella, it was so lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on here today. It was a great chat.
Thanks. Bye.
See ya. Bye.